In this video, we're going to be taking a look at how we can model this silver part of the gun grip, and we're going to be using Nurbs for this. I just want to show you Nurbs as a possibility for generating surfaces that are nice and clean. This is the final results of the polygons that were generated, and you can see if I tap one, here's the base cage for this. But like I was saying, Nurbs can be sometimes an easy way to generate surfaces, and they're usually pretty nice and even and very clean looking. So I'm going to go ahead and just hide everything for here. I'll show you this group that I have where I use to actually build everything. I'm going to go ahead and hide the different surfaces that were generated for this, and then you can see here's the actual curves that we used for this on here like that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and hide those, and let's just start and make some brand new curves. So I'm going to go to the side view right and through here like this, and we're going to go to create, and we're going to go to curve tools. I'm going to use the EP curve tool. So we could use this CV curve tool, or we could use the edit point curve tool. I found that this one's a little bit easier to work with if I know kind of the shapes that I want to generate. If you have to do a lot of editing to the curves, you're probably going to use the CV curve tool. But in this one, I'll just go ahead and click that, and what I'm going to do is lay out point, 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 maybe 4 different points on here. So I'll start here where this meets this part and click again, maybe right in through here, then click in this area and click maybe right down in here like this and hit enter. So if you want to edit the curve, even though we use the EP edit point curve tool, if you hit F9 over the top of that, or you right click and say control vertice, you can still manipulate the curve, and you would be manipulating it just like you would with the the CV curve tool. How it generates is a little bit different. But what I want to get to is we laid down those different points, and if we go to the display for this, if we go to display and go to Nurbs and show edit points, you can actually see those edit points that are going to be on there. Why that's important when we generate the surfaces, I'm going to use these edit points as knowing like where a span or something is going to live or exist, right? And so I've got this first curve. If I tap W for the move tool, it's still going to put the the pivot point at the origin. If I tap D, I can hold down V and then snap it to this point right here. So I've got one curve here. If I go to the perspective view, we can duplicate that curve, and we could move it back a little bit. And I think what I did, I just kind of snapped it to the distance of maybe where that was at. And you can go to the front view and you can kind of check that out if you want. So I've got a curve here, a curve there. This is going down the center. Now if I wanted to take this curve and alter it and kind of pull it back a little bit, like if we hit F9 for that and just make sure we're on that one curve, I'll select some of the points in here for this right here like that, and maybe I can just pull that back just a little bit like this. And then if we generated another curve, we could either duplicate this curve and move it back up to like here. Let's say that this is going to be a point on there, and then hit F9. You could do that, or you could just go back and redraw a new curve like we did with the very first one. So it's up to you how you want to make your curve. It's either duplicating and editing, or you're going to just create one from scratch. But either way, you're going to end up with very similar results. So I've got one curve there. I need to move that out. Let's move that out to about here for that. And I think that'll be pretty good. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take this curve, I'm going to duplicate it, and I can give it a negative value on X, -1 like that. And then I'll duplicate this one, Control D, and I'll give it a negative value on this one as well, right there like that. So now I've got a series of curves, and I want to generate a surface between those curves. So there's different ways of making surfaces from the curves. You can see up here in surfaces. What we're going to use is Loft, so you can loft a surface between all these curves. I'll just select them in this order like this, and we'll go to surfaces and say Loft. And you can see it's going to, like I said, it's going to generate a really nice surface for you. It's nice and clean. So you might want to start grouping these. So if I select these and hit Control G, let's just call this like Nurbs build, something like that. You've got your curves all together, and then you got your surface that is generated from that. Now, there's a way to take this Nurb surface, and if you hit F9, just like we were doing with the curves, you can manipulate the surface still and kind of move it around. One thing that is kind of cool about these curves is that all the information on here is actually live. So if you want to manipulate the shape a little bit and you want to change, you know, what things look like for the surface, those curves are all live until you delete history. So if you take a look at this lofted surface, it's got the loft on here and it's got the history on that. Now, if we do something like this, where if we take the surface and we go to convert it over to polygons, we can go to modify, convert Nurbs to polygons. I'm going to do the option box for this. There are some settings on there that I want to put it on this per span of isoparms right here like this, and I've got my tessellation method, quads, tessellation method set to general, and type, this per span of isoparms is set to 1 and 1. And if I hit apply for that, it's going to basically generate polygon topology. And let me hide that real quick. Polygon topology that basically matches this this Nurb surface, as far as like you see where all of our edit points are at it right here, these little X's. That's why I wanted to use that edit point curve tool. This method gives you predictable results as far as you know exactly where the geometry is going to be generated for this. Now if we tap 3 for this, then we get the smooth mesh preview of that object, and you can see kind of what it does to the surface at that point. Now you can definitely tell a difference between the Nurbs surface that's got the exact shape and then this polygonal version that we have here. Now, like I was saying, if you have history on this, this actually has history for this piece of geometry that was created for us. So if we start to manipulate the Nurbs lofted surface, it's going to change this polygon surface as well. So it's up to you, but you might want to delete the history on that. That's Alt-Shift-D. You can do that, or you can go to edit and delete by type history. And let's go ahead and hide all of this, right? So you would just have to make a determination. Do you want to use the Nurbs to kind of generate this polygonal surface that you can have, and then you can manipulate it after the fact? Because what I would be doing is kind of going back through here and saying, you know, I'm not super happy with the final placement of this. I want to fit this to that image a little better, and you can do something like this right there, like that. Okay, so that's one way of generating a surface. Let me go ahead and hide this. I will bring back this piece here. Now the other way that you can do it, it's under surfaces, it's called boundary, and for a boundary you need either 3 curves, so almost like think of a very simple polygon. You need 3 curves that join together to make a surface, or you need 4 curves that would make kind of like a quad kind of surface. So I'll show you what that looks like. One thing we could do, now that we've got these curves made, if we made a new one, we go to create curve tools and go to edit point curve tool, select that, and you can hold down V and you can snap to that point there like that, and that's going to be the start of our curve. Now we can go to the side view and I can draw this out, and I will say this will be the first point, 1, 2, and let me hit backspace on this and get back a little bit. I'm going to go right about here, 1, 2, and 3 for that surface right there. Now I want to check and see if I can do this. If I hit insert before I'm finished making this curve, we can still have the ability to edit it, and hit insert and hit enter and you're done with the curve. Now I'll fit this a little bit better to the shape. I'll hit F9 and we got to move these control vertices around a little bit. I'm going to pull this down a little bit and through here and kind of get this to match up a little better and through here like this. Okay, so that's going to give us this curve here. We've already drawn this curve. I'm going to hide this lofted surface just to make things a little easier to see. So now I've got this, and now we need a curve going across through here. Now to snap to points on here with the edit point, remember you got to select the curve. You're going to go to display, Nurbs, and turn on the edit points, and we're going to be able to see that at that point. And I do know this. I actually want an edit point. I got 1, 2 through the length of this, and on this one I got 1, 2. So I guess that will actually match up okay. But if I wanted to add a knot within here, one of these little X's for the edit point, you can right click and say curve point, and that lets you click and drag and slide a point around. And let's say I wanted to insert an edit point right in there. You can go to curves and then you can say insert knot, and you can see it's going to add another one there for you. So that's just something that might come in handy for you if you need to insert a point on a curve like that. So I'm going to go, we got our curve, we're creating the edit point curve. I'm going to hold down V and then snap to this and then go 1, 2, and then hold down V and snap to this one here like that. Okay, so that gives us a shape where we can select this curve, and then this curve, right? And let's check this in perspective view. Everything's all snapped together with the points. And we can go to surface and we'll do a boundary like that. And that's going to go ahead and make this piece here that you see. Okay, now I'm going to hide that real quick, and I'll show you what it looks like to do a boundary surface that's got 4 curves on it instead of 3. So it's going to be very similar. I'm going to hold down V, snap to this point here. Let's go to the side view, and I'm going to draw something like this right in through here. I'll hit enter, and then now I can remember, go to display, Nurbs, edit points. We're going to make a curve here like this, and so I'll snap to this point here, V, and then do 1, 2, and let's do it down to about there, 3. I need to show that like that, and we'll do one more. So I'll do V and start it off here, 1, 2, hold down V and snap them through there. Now I didn't show the edit points for that one, so let's just turn that on just to be consistent. So now I've got 4 curves, and I'm going to check that here. I'm just going to select them in this order like this, and we'll go to surfaces and then do a boundary. So we've got that. So let me go ahead and show the other pieces of geometry. And again, to if I wanted to convert that all over to polygons, then we're going to go to modify, convert, and then do the Nurbs to polygons, and you're going to want to use these options here, right there like that. And so basically that is kind of the that's kind of the process that I use for this to get all these pieces made like this. And again, I converted everything over to polys, and I just lined everything up, made sure everything kind of snapped together. And these are all actually different pieces right now. So I could join them together and make it one object, but I'm just tapping the smooth mesh preview. But you can see what a nice kind of clean surface that you get from this this method. So it just gives you a different possibility for modeling and creating really clean shapes that are based off of curves instead of doing the kind of box modeling method.